What it do, y'all? Welcome to the latest episode of Nico Knows Wrestling. Today we're going to be discussing just my thoughts on the CM Punk situation that is going around the past few days in the wrestling industry. All right, y'all. Hope y'all got your joints and your cigarettes and you're ready because, yeah, your boy about to go in. So as y'all know, I'm definitely a CM Punk fan. Was so excited to see him return to wrestling after 7 long years. But I just don't know if AEW was the right place. And I don't know if WWE is the right place with Phil. Phil's an opinionated brother. But I definitely think Punk had some fault in what was going on. Minus the situation that already had happened at All In last year. With the executive vice presidents, the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, that resulted in all 4 of them being suspended and stripped of their championships. But he went off script a couple weeks ago on Dynamite after Dynamite went off there and said some kind of BS towards Hangman Adam Page. He took a shot at Hangman Adam Page about his action figures not selling. Like, that's why they call him Hangman, because his action figures are all hanging on the shelves. That is funny. I can't lie, that is funny. But that seemed to kind of ramp back up the beef that was already kind of pre-existing. I don't think these guys, never was reported that they had a sit down to kind of squash things to see if we can maybe use this and create an angle from it. I don't think they ever got to that point, not because of Punk's trying. From what I've read, Punk did attempt to, and he was told not to contact Kenny. But I definitely think all the latest things that happened had to kind of be weighed on Tony Khan and to have him think it was this even worth continuing. We heard the reports of him denying Christopher Daniels, who was I think the head of talent relations over there, access to AEW Collision for him, being friends with the Bucks. We even had the incident with Nick Nemeth, where he got in Nick Nemeth's face, which to me, I didn't really look at that really negatively, because again, I know Nick Nemeth had said something along the lines about one of the softest human beings he ever met. And so, of course, I think any logical guy would probably have some kind of retort to that, especially if they know you're not like that either. So I definitely think, that was the thing with Punk. Like, you can say what he wanted about him going to MMA and getting his ass kicked. Fine. But he had the balls to do it. And he did it. He lost his fights, but he went in there and did it. It's not like he just, talked about it. But I think all of that was slowly starting to weigh on Tony Khan. And so after the incident in London where him and Jack Perry had a dust-up, and supposedly he lunged at Tony Khan per Brian Alvarez and some other people at the Wrestling Observer, Uncle Dave. CM Punk had Tony Khan scared for his life. And for me, I heard Booker T talk on it and touch on that earlier when I was listening to his podcast. And the way he described it, I thought, that's exactly how I view Tony. Like, Tony isn't a confrontational guy. He's not a guy that's going to be looking for conflict or want to tell people bad news. That's just not the vibe that I get from Tony Khan. You know, and so him being into a real wrestling promotion where there's egos, there's tempers, there's perspectives that don't always align, and so you might have the occasional dust up, you might have the occasional brawl. But whereas in us, and I don't want to always compare them to WWE, but whereas in the WWE, that story might not come out until years later when somebody's old and they're, you know, trying to juice up an appearance on the podcast. That's when you might hear that. AEW is like you constantly have someone reaching out to Uncle Dave, reaching out to Brian Alvarez, reaching out to somebody to give them a damn scoop. As a fan, it's nice that information is available to me for to read, but that shouldn't even be the case where a lot of this is even coming to light. Some of this should just be worked out amongst men and women, you know, because they've also had their issues with some of the ladies' drama too, as we've all been aware. But I won't touch on that today. Today's strictly about Punk's situation. But for me, I definitely think Punk was in a rock and a hard place. I mean, for me, and I'm just guessing off of this. This isn't fact, this isn't any, you know, this isn't proof for anything I would say. But when I watched AEW All Access, and they showed Punk debuting, the Young Bucks did not seem too happy at the pop that CM Punk got. In my eyes, and this is just my eyes, again, this is just my honest observation. I'm not a people reader or anything like that. I can somewhat read people's intuition and the energy. But in my eyes, I didn't see that they liked it. They weren't too happy with the reception that he got from the crowd because they really were chanting CM Punk, CM Punk. They were going crazy for this man. And I just don't think the Young Bucks liked it that now the spotlight is kind of off, especially with some of the tag teams that were coming in, FTR. And so now this spot to them probably looked at it as might be shaky. It ain't as stable as it once was. But I mean, you guys are also EVPs, so you got executive roles in the company. You're not just talent. So in a sense, you should always have some kind of security. There is no all elite wrestling without the elite. And I think, again, another action, I really want you guys to go out and watch Booker T's thoughts on that, because a lot of that I agree with. Like even the mentioning of just how Punk looked at it when he went in. You know, like I mentioned, I didn't think the Young Bucks looked at Punk as if like they were cool with the amount of attention that he was receiving. But also, I looked at you as competition, but I don't think Punk necessarily looked at them as if these guys were on his level. Being that you wrestled around the world, you wrestled at a WrestleMania, you sold out some big shows, you've been a heavyweight champion in the World Wrestling Entertainment Company. You know, that's no small feat. Multi-time champion at that. And as we get to the incidents in London too, I also have to consider some of the issues that were mentioned again online. Mentioned about him coming in to the stadium where he actually got lost, and he was not able to initially find the arena. He had to get help from people that lived in London, and he got lost in the tube system. And I don't know about you, but travel stuff to me are definitely frustrating. Case in point, I was going to visit my kids in Philadelphia about 2 weeks ago. Now, I hadn't seen my kids in over 6 years. You know, let me turn that down. But, so it was a really emotional moment for me. And as I'm getting there, driving to the airport to leave my car at the airport and catch my flight was supposed to leave at 1:30. I ended up seeing all these delayed messages coming in telling me my flight had been delayed. By the time I got through the terminal and all that, and security, TSA, man, my flight didn't leave till 4:30. I stayed at the airport an additional 3 hours. And so I can imagine, even in Punk's situation, you're a star. You're not just a guy, as some would say. You're not just a wrestler that's on the show. You're on the big show. You're CM Punk. You have a whole TV show, Collision. It's your show. Well, what's your show? And so I think that contributed to the frustration you was already feeling by the time you got to the stadium and everything. Like, I definitely think that bothered you. I definitely think it led to you being a little frustrated even more, because who wouldn't be? You done lost to waste all this time. You didn't have nobody to pick you up. And then on top of all that, you had this incident with Jack Perry, who, now feels like, he has a problem with you. And so I definitely think how all that just spilled out, and then that's not even bringing about all the shit that happened since last year overall. This is just from in the past 2 or 3 months. So yeah. It's crazy. I think Tony Khan made the right call. I think he kind of had to at this point. I think he just kind of had to. But, yeah. That's just my thoughts, y'all. But, once again, y'all be breezy on this Wednesday hump day. This your boy Nico. Y'all please like and subscribe. Y'all take it easy.